Hello guys, welcome to Spoken Essays. I am Harshal Vora and you are watching freeCodeCamp tutorials to learn HTML and CSS. And how are you guys? कैसे हैं आप बताइए comments में क्या चल रहा है? How is this going? अभी तो ये live video है but I think in the future you guys will see this and learn from the freeCodeCamp tutorials that I've made hopefully. And without wasting more time, let us begin with what we left yesterday. Let us resume what we left 2 days ago, last Saturday. Anyway, let me just close this overlay and then I can share my screen. Great, you can see me here. Hello in this corner. And what are we? So where were we at? We were at freeCodeCamp courses, and it seems my screen is stuck again. In my screen I can see something that is completely different, but you guys are looking at some different thing. So let me go to OBS and quickly change the settings. Something is again wrong, so you will see that I have disappeared now. And what I'll do is I'll quickly change this display capture so you can see the live streaming thing now. Instead of that, you will look at the display capture, and yes, you can see that now I can scroll. Before I wasn't able to. Something with OBS, you have to set the window capture again after you will shut down your device and shut your device down, and then you open it again, and you can see the birds have joined you too. With that cheerful note, on that cheerful note, let us begin continue from where we left off. So guys, just I'll quickly show you a quick overview. Before that, let me open the live chat. Okay, great. So a quick overview. In responsive web design, we have been going through tutorials, or I would say courses, or I would say projects. We are going through projects, and it says where we learned HTML and CSS. We still are learning HTML and CSS. It's not like once you do it and you just remember it for your life, for your whole life. You have to practice it every day and all day and every day to understand HTML and know HTML code when you're reading it. So yeah, we built so we learned Flexbox and we learned this and that. So let me go through the courses real quick. So first we learned the cat photo app, then we built the cafe menu, then we built a set of colored markers, then we built a registration form. Is my screen stuck again? No. Interesting. Then we built a registration form, then we went through the certification project, but in that certification project I left it halfway. I only finished it so that I could get this sign, the tick mark where it says you have finished the project. So functionally I have finished the project, but design wise we haven't done anything yet. Then we learned the CSS box model. In that box model we built a Rothko painting. It was 3 rectangles, and we learned spread radius, blur radius and whatnot. And then we built a photo gallery of cats, and we also learned what a flexbox is and how flexboxes work, how overflow works, that different properties of CSS. It had more to do with CSS than HTML by this point. Then we learned typography by building a nutrition label. This had some involvement of the HTML pages, maybe 50% approximately. I could be wrong. Someone's calling my link. Then we learned accessibility by building a quiz. This is where we came across screen reader. We came across a class. We set up a class called SR only, screen readers only, an attribute, I believe. Then we did not finish this certification project. We'll do all the certification projects at the end of this live, after I'm done with the projects. Then this says, what does this say? So learn more about CSS pseudo selectors. So we learned more about pseudo selectors. How? So we built a balance sheet, and that's how we learned what pseudo selectors are. Then we learned intermediate CSS. intermediate, where we heavily use the Z index property, and we also learned flexbox and display properties with absolute. It was very fun, really. We built a Picasso painting with 3 characters, one white, one brown, and one black, I think. Yeah, I could be wrong. You guys can of course prove me wrong in the comments. Then we go to learn. Yeah, we learned responsive web design by building a piano. How was it responsive? So it looked different in different devices, as in we set the device width using the @media selector. I think it has a different name, but I don't remember now. I'll have to read it again. It has something to do with the @media thing, and we inside that we mention the max width or the minimum width for our device. It is the most, yeah, these are the 2 most common properties we used when using media. And we also used only screen and the AND operator. Then we skipped this certification project, which we'll do later. Then we learned CSS variables we built a city skyline. That was amazing to look at. It looked different in we built 2 colors, one for the day and one for the night, and we also learned repeating linear gradient in this. Then we built a magazine. This took a long time. I think we finished it in 3.5 hours, somewhere around that, and maybe more of that, maybe 3 hours and 40 minutes, almost. I would say 210 minutes, maybe, give or take. Then we of course skip this certification project, which will build a product landing page. Then we learned CSS animation by building a Ferris wheel. Oh, we didn't learn it yet. We are yet to learn this. So this project, and then we'll also build a penguin. And after these 2 projects, we will start our certification projects. All the 5 certifications projects, one by one. I think each will take maybe 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, maybe less. Who knows? By the time it took for me to finish it functionally wasn't very long, maybe an hour and a half. But after that, the design part does take long. So hopefully my strategy is to first finish the HTML page, the index.html document, and whatever styles I want to add to it, I will add to it later using CSS. But no worries, we will finish one certification project first and then go to the next one, so nothing to worry about. Right now we have the first project for today is the Ferris wheel. We're going to learn CSS animation. That is some cool stuff. We're going to learn animation by building a Ferris wheel, and then we're going to learn CSS transforms by building a penguin. I have no clue what this penguin will look like, and I have no clue how we'll build this Ferris wheel. Let us go through this and find out what we will do. So let me open this and let's read what this says. So you can use CSS animation to draw attention to specific sections of your web page and make it more engaging. Nice. Acha, so to specific, so maybe divs, we'll use divs, maybe we'll use sections, we'll use main element. We did use main element section then aside a lot in the magazine page, but I'm not sure whether we'll use it here, the main section or the sections, but let's go. Then it says, in this course you will build a Ferris wheel. You'll learn how to use CSS to animate elements, transform them, and adjust their speed. So guys, I'm sure this is nothing to worry about, and you can see it only has 29 steps. Maybe those 29 steps together will take maybe 3 or 4 hours of my time, maybe an hour of my time, who knows. Let's quickly get started. I've spent enough of your time. It's already been 11 minutes. Wow. You know what, let's just begin with this. Great. Oh my god, these things. So this is what we're going to build. Oh my god, that is a what are we doing here? So these boxes move in a circular motion. How many boxes do we have? We have 6 boxes, or I would say 6 squares. 6 squares are moving in, well, they're moving clockwise, I can say that, and they're changing colors from yellow to red, from red to yellow again, and then yellow to purple, indigo. Which color would this be? Then again some neon color. It wasn't exactly yellow, but it was neon-ish, or maybe my eyes are deceiving me. Then we can see this is not a perfect, what we would say, a wheel. This is not what a wheel looks like, because the spokes would go this way. Maybe who am I to judge? I'm looking at this for the first time. Maybe this is how Ferris wheels are built. This is how what Ferris wheels look like. Okay, but I would be surprised to see. So maybe this could be 1, 2 and 3 triangles. This could be literally 3 triangles or 3 objects with the border left size and border left width. Anyway, we'll find out. Is the circle, this circle even moving? I would be surprised to see if it was. And you can see that these squares are not exactly connected, or are they connected? I wouldn't know, man. But if you see, there's a gap here, but when these move here, there's almost no gap. So I don't know. Let's see what we're going to do. This does seem tricky, but nothing to worry about. You can also see the motion that these things are making. So when it's below, it's of course following the rules of gravity, or maybe not. I mean, the motion does feel weird. But let's see. So what is this? So it's probably rotation, that for 10 seconds you'll rotate it this way, and for then the next 10 seconds you'll rotate it that way. I don't know. Let's find out. What will we do? So let's start coding. Great. So it says begin with the standard boilerplate. Let me just get closer to the screen. Yes. Okay. So we're going to begin with the standard boilerplate. Is the screen, can you guys see me? Yes, that's much better. A little bit more. Yes. Okay. So what does this say? We are on step 1. Let me go full screen. This is the preview. We don't need the preview for now. We're only doing some standard work, which will involve doc type, HTML head body, and language, char set, and meta elements. So that we don't need to go through all of that for now. So what I'll do is, what if I open this as your CSS file here? So naturally the index file is over here. Let me adjust my screen so that I can look at it properly. Okay, let's begin. So first step, we have to put the declaration. Whenever we write any HTML document, we have to let the browser know that it is reading in fact an HTML file. We have given it the declaration. Now we will, you know what, we are also supposed to give it an HTML element. I will copy this text, I'll put the opening bracket, and I'll close the HTML tag. This is everything inside this will be visible to the browser. Well, the browser reads the HTML document itself, so it will read even this, so it doesn't matter. But this is where the HTML document begins. What else are we to add? So add your doc type declaration, check HTML elements with the language, HTML element with the language English, language set to English. That is not done, so we will write lang attribute equals en, with lang attribute with the value en. I have closed the preview tab for now because I don't need to see it, because whatever change we are making is not visible yet, so there's no point in keeping it open. And let me turn the styles.css files off too, hide the file too, because I don't need to look at it now. Okay, so where were we? So begin with the standard boilerplate. Just a second guys, I seem to have a call. That is not a phone call. Okay, so that was some video. Anyway, now we are good to go. Are we live? Yes, we are live. We are live on YouTube, and let's begin. So begin with the standard body elements. So quickly, without wasting more time, copy and paste. We'll also, oh yeah, before we do body, we are also supposed to give it the head element. So head, paste, and opening and closing tag, head and body elements. Now we will also add a meta element for the correct char set. So note guys that meta is a self-closing element, self-closing tag, so you really don't need to put the closing meta tag. Now that is some air, that is some wind, I would say, not air. So meta. Alright, so first the correct char set, not correct, char set equals, in double quotes, what I will write is UTF hyphen 8, not UTF, oh sorry, if it's all caps then you go all caps. Then we go to the next meta element, which will be for the what we are not supposed to put the title element. No problem, we will not put the title element. So let me first put the title element, then the title opening tag, title elements opening tag and the closing tag, and I will set the title to Ferris wheel. Note guys, this none of this is still visible because we are editing everything in the body element, head element, not in the body element. Whatever we do in the body element will be visible on the preview, in the preview. Okay, now we add the link element. The relationship of this link will be style sheet. Good stuff. This is a nice keyboard. Let me just open that. Okay, yeah, now it is tilted. I have set the angle. Now we will also add the hypertext reference. In the hypertext reference we will write .styles.css. Please guys mention in the comments why we added the styles, why we added this. We haven't come across the / before, except for 2 projects yet. I think 2 projects, yeah, except for 2 projects we haven't come across. Yeah, we haven't been across no. So हमने ये अभी तक href में / को यूज़ नहीं किया है, सिर्फ 3 बार यूज़ किया है. तो भाई guys please mention in the comments हम ये क्यों यूज़ करते हैं, what does this mean, what is this for. Let me change the plus sign to equal to sign, and we are good to go. And let's see whether we have done everything. So what does this say? Let's read the steps again. Begin with the standard boilerplate. This is the standard boilerplate. Add your doc type declaration. Well, this is not the standard boilerplate. We also mention a few more things like the viewport settings, we give it the name attribute and so on and so forth, but we are not supposed to add that for now. Maybe it will be in the next step. Anyway, so we gave it the doc type declaration, check. HTML element with the language set to English, check. Then head and body elements, check. Add your meta element for the correct char set, check. CHARSET char set, done. Then we add the title element, we added the title element, we check. And then we also added the style sheet, the link attribute, link element too. And you can notice that inside the head element all the 3 elements are, well, out of the 3 elements 2 are self-closing and one, the title element, is not self-closing. Moving on, we are done with this step and let's go. Now we are on step 2. What is in step 2? So we are to add a div element and give it a class of wheel inside your div. Add 6 span elements with a class set to line and 6 div elements with a class set to cabin. So I think these are in order. So let us first add the div element, the opening div element, and the class will be set to wheel. So this is the wheel, and inside the wheel we will have these 6 squares. So now I understand why this will not be a long project, why this only has 29 steps, and we've already finished the first 2 steps anyway. So I'll also paste the div, and instead of wheel the class will be cabin. So that's what I could also call the squares, as they are cabins. Now we are supposed to add them after the 6 span elements. So but now that I've copied the div element, let me paste it really quickly, and we can see I've copied 3 of them, and let me press enter and paste. Great. And you can also hear the birds chirping. Are we not online? Yes, we are online. Is there an internet connection problem? Nope. Okay, so we have 2 viewers. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Thank you so much for your support, and let us continue. Let me see if we have any messages from the chat. Yet nothing so far, no problem. And we have 3 views. That is good stuff. Thank you so much, guys. Now we are on step 2. Let me add the span element with the class set to line. So what I can do is I'll paste another line. Oh, sorry. I'll copy this line and I'll paste it here. And instead of div I will write span, and instead of div here I'll write span, because span is not a self-closing element. So I could have just done that. So I don't need to change everything. I can just change a few characters and it will become a new element. Now class is cabin. Instead of cabin class we will set the class to line. So these are the lines. Okay, and we are to add 6 of these. So enter space paste. Now I've copied 3 lines, I paste them. Now we have 12 of them. You can see that 6 span classes and 6 div, 6 span elements and 2 div elements, and we can see the cabin class and we can see the line class. I think now in the next steps they won't be referred to as span element or div element. They will be referred to as the first dot cabin or the the second dot cabin element. So guys, don't worry, they're referring to this thing, this div element itself. I mean, any of these div elements, they'll say that first div or the second div or the third div, doesn't matter. But you'll know if you see the dot cabin, then you know that they are the freeCodeCamp is referring to this div. फेरिया आ गए हैं, of course. Now that is happening. Now we are on step 3, create a selector. So and like I said, it already says that it is a dot wheel element. So now we know that they're targeting. So the first selector we are going to create is for the first div and all the divs and the spans that are nested inside it. So we're only going to target that div. Whatever's inside it, we are not targeting them yet. So let's begin. So what does this say? Create a selector for your dot wheel element. Okay, so when it says dot wheel element, I can quickly copy this. Why? Because when it says dot, I know it will be a class selector. Now start create a selector for your wheel element. Start by setting the border to 2px solid black and border to okay. So this is what we're going to do. I can see border 2 pixels, so that the thickness will be 2 pixels. It will be quite visible. Let me open the preview right now so you can see the changes happening in real time. Okay, so where were we? So we'll set the border. When we are using the border property, it is a shorthand property. What are border shorthand properties? So I can put 4 values in here and it will give these 4 values, the corresponding values, the left, right, the top left, the top right, the bottom right and the bottom left. So that is very cool. I don't need to write border hyphen left, then I put another property border hyphen right, border hyphen top, border hyphen bottom. None of that. I can simply use this. this will take one value, it will take two values, and it will take four values. It will not take three values because that is not defined, and you could just simply put 0 for the fourth value. Anyway, so border, so this, and it also takes different values like this. So what I mean is it will also take this 2 and 2 and 2, and it won't be visible because we haven't given it a color yet. But if I give it a color, if I write so to give it the border colors, we can do one more thing. If I write solid is for, of course, the solid, and if I write black, you will see the colors appearing. Nope, nothing happened. I can see why. Let me give it a 2 pixel solid black, and now you can see the line. So what happened? What do they mean when I say pixel? So we are supposed to also mention the. We're also supposed to mention the pixels. If I write to REM, it would be this big. That is twice as big as 16 pixels. So that is actually 32 pixels. We don't want to REM. We will just go with 2 pixels, and you can see that has appeared. And so basically this is the how you want it. Do you want a solid line, do you want a dashed line, or a dotted line? And this specifies the color of the border. If I were to write, let's say, turquoise, then it would become turquoise, QUOISE, so turquoise. And you can see the color has changed. You can barely see the line because my face is covering some part of the preview, but do not worry, this is the line that I'm talking about. Moving on, let's keep it black and quickly go to the new steps. कुछ लोग को शायद पकड़ा होगा कि यार ये आगे क्यों नहीं बढ़ रहा. And we can go to border hyphen radius, and I'll write 50%. So 50% curved is what they are doing, mentioning, so that it will be curved. You can immediately see the difference. Unfortunately, let me open the preview for you guys so you can see what it looks like. So, oh my god. So if I zoom in, you'll be able to look at it much better. Let me change my the position of my camera for a few seconds, and you can see this is what it looks like. And you can see the curves here. It is a pointy object for now. Now let me place the camera back in the corner again. Great. Now let us go back to this tab, and we can see that line has appeared again. Okay, now 50% and the margin left to 50 pixels, so it moves it from the left to by 50 pixels. So margin hyphen left. Margin is also a shorthand property, but when we say margin left, it is only referring to one side. So I'll write 50 pixels semicolon, and you can see it has moved 50 pixels from the left. We are good to go to the next step. Of course, we are on step 4 now. Set the position property of the wheel selector to absolute. So we can move it wherever we like. We're using this property, the position property. We have position relative, we have position absolute, we have position this, that. But for this case, we will go with position property of wheel selector to absolute. So I'll press enter here to go to the next line. Even if I write it in this line, it really doesn't matter, but it looks when we're reading it, it looks much better. You can understand what is going on with the code, what you're doing with it. So I keep it in the different lines. Now I'll set the position position to absolute. Oh, that is very incorrect. Absolute, and you can see now it has become a small dot. Now we will set the height and width. The dot is so small you can barely see it. If I zoom in, yep, that is much better. You guys can see this is the dot. Okay, going back, zooming out. So we're going to set the width and the height both to 55. Viewport width. So we'll set it based on the device. Okay, so height, not the device, viewport values. So 55 VW and width to 55 viewport width. That means it will become bigger or become smaller based on the size of the viewport. And you can see here when I resize the preview tab, it changes sizes. That is very cool, that is very responsive, good stuff. And we can go to the next step now. Now we are still on this wheel selector, class selector. What does this step say? So give your wheel selector a max height and max width property, both set to 500 pixels. So when we will set this, by default, even we won't be able to expand it beyond a certain width. So it won't be big, it won't become large, it won't increase its size after 500 pixels. So 500 pixels is the limit. So let me set that limit. So I can just copy this from max height to max width, and I'll remove the and. So I'll press enter, paste. I don't need the and because we are not using the operators here. I can press enter, colon, and for the both of them I will mention it to 500 pixels. 500 pixels के बाद ये बड़ा नहीं होगा basically. It will stay the same size. You can see it stays the same size even if I resize it after this value. So you can see now it does. So ये 500 pixels के नीचे होगा तो उसको resize करेगा based on this 55 viewport width and 55 viewport width. Anyway, if I hadn't mentioned this, और अगर मैं इसको resize करता वो automatically बड़ा छोटा होता रहता. You can see that it's still going. You can see if you keep your eyes focused here, you'll see the less part of that. और ये बड़ा होता ही जा रहा है. So that's what I'm referring to. If we mention the max and the maximum and the minimum height and width, then we won't have this problem. After a certain point, after the size of the viewport is 500 pixels, तो ये 500 pixels के ऊपर नहीं जाएगा basically. Now, so what else? So now we go to step 6, create a selector for your dot line element. So now we're going inside the div element, and what will we do? So we'll create another selector, and you can notice by the dot line we are going to build or create a class selector. And what will we do? So I'll write line, and inside this line we'll add the curly brackets. Whatever properties we're going to give it will be inside the curly brackets. Now what does this say? Start by setting the background color to black. So we'll do that. We'll do exactly just that. Background, background hyphen color to black and semicolon. And right now we are doing the line. We haven't mentioned the width and the height yet, so we can't see anything on the screen yet. So let me quickly go up, scroll up, and copy these properties and the values, the width and the height. And instead of 55 VW, I will simply write, I'll write 50%. Copy this and I will paste it, and there's no change yet. And the height to 2 pixels, so it's not supposed to be 50%. Oh, I'm so sorry, the width is to be 50% and the height is to be 20 pixels, 2 pixels. There's no change yet in the preview tab, do not worry guys. So the background color and width to 50% and height to 2 pixels. Let's see. So background color dot line elements. Dot line is of course the span element. If you can see here, this is the span, and in the span, what if I write anything now? So if I write anything now, you'll be able to see a box with height 2 pixels. You can see that, and the width 50%. 50% of what? 50% of this div class wheel, because if you think about it, this is the class wheel. If you do not believe me, so if you don't understand what I'm saying, what I'll do is I'll write blue quickly, and for this wheel I will write BACKGROUND color to gray, just to show you guys. Oh, not background. Well, we've already changed the radius to 50%, but this circle is inside this div. Anyway, going back, let me make this black again. Oh, sorry, black. You can see the text has the color. Oh, not black, sepia. If I make the color property, I'll give the color property white for now, and you can see that's the div line. That's only this one, but if we've applied the values to each and every class, because all of them have this, you can see they are in a row. Now I'll just quickly press Command Z a few times. I'll remove this because I did that, and I'll remove this line because we're not supposed to do that yet. So that's what we're going to do with this step, the 6th step. And let's check our code. You can also press Ctrl Enter with your Windows device, or you could also press Command Enter with your Mac device. For Linux users, it will still be Ctrl Enter. Now we are on step 7. Set the line selector's position property to absolute, the left property to 50%, and the top property to 50%. I see. So it will, of course, by 50% and 50%, it will stay inside the div, but when we use absolute, we can move it absolutely anywhere. So position, inside the position, we will give it the value absolute, and you can see that it already has changed a little bit. It has transformed a little bit because we haven't mentioned this yet. Anyway, and what will I write? So I'll write left, and we're gonna move it 50% from the left. So now it's 50% here, and 50% from the right. And you can see what happened. Yeah, from the right, so that it stays in the center, 50-50, equally divided, and that's why you can't see any change yet. If I move this, then it would move that back again. If I were to make it 10%, then it would still move here. If I were to make this 80%, then it would move more to the right. Oh, not 800%, sorry. And if I remove it to 0, and you can see that it has moved 80% to the right. Anyway, now where were we? So I'll press Ctrl Z, Command Z quickly. And what else are we to do? So top, oh, instead of left and right, we're supposed to make it top and left, not right. So I'll make it top so that it comes down, and you can see that it is at the 50%. That is literally wow, that almost looks like Pac-Man. Great stuff. And we can go to the next step now. So we moved the position from the left 50% and from the top 50%, and now you can see it has become a radius. It looks like a radius anyway. Now transform origin property, so that is a new property is used to set the point around which a CSS information is applied. For example, when performing a rotate, which you will do later in this project, the transform origin determines around which point the element is rotated. Give the dot line selector a transform property of 0%, 0%. तो 0% मतलब ये होना चाहिए, आई थिंक कि भाई जो भी एलिमेंट है उसके 0% से ये ट्रांसफॉर्म करेगा. Or it could be this. I'm still guessing. I don't know how this will work. We'll find out how this will work. So let's read the rest of the lines. This will offset the origin point by 0% from the left and 0% from the top, setting it to the top left corner of the element. So I was partially right. top left corner would be this of the element, and that's where it will move the thing from, offset. So maybe that will stay in its place and the rest of it will change, rest of it will transform. Okay, so we're going to use the transform origin property, for example, when performing a rotate. Okay, so let's read this. These are the instructions. Give the dot line selector a transform origin property. Done. We give it the transform origin property of 0 0, so that will mention the origin of the transformation. So let me add that 0%. Nothing has changed yet because we haven't mentioned the ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन यार ये डायरेक्शन में तो घूमेगा तो इस डायरेक्शन से इस डायरेक्शन में जाएगा. विल गो टू द नेक्स्ट स्टेप टू फाइंड आउट हाउ टू डू दैट. Now we are on step 9. Create a selector to target your second dot line element, and I can see that it has a dot, so we can determine that it will be a class selector. So I'll write line dot line, and then in the curly brackets set the transform property to rotate 60 degrees. I see. So this is a function called rotate, and in this transform property, transform is also a new property, but I have some knowledge about it because of Blender. So Blender may be a transform property. Well, I wouldn't call it a transform property. We also had transform in there, and we used to transform objects. So we used to make them zoom in, we used to make them zoom out, we used different Ken Burns effects in there, and there will probably be more functions like rotate that will help us use it, this transform property. So we're going to use the rotate function for this, because we're going to build a Ferris wheel, so it's supposed to go in that circular motion, and I'll make it 60 degrees. So that will only transform it, that does not give it an animated view. It will only transform the thing. अच्छा हाँ, तो उसमें animation अभी तक हमने नहीं ऐड किया है. It will only transform the thing. तो हमने manually एक line element को transform किया है. If you think about it, these are all 6 lines stacked on top of each other, and all their position, each of their position is absolute. Probably हम लोग हर एक line को एक और class add करेंगे, line 1, line 2, line 3, something like that. But for now we are done. Let's read further. Remember that the transform property allows you to manipulate the shape of an element. In this case, using the rotate degree, will rotate the element around its transform origin point by 60 degrees clockwise. So its origin was this 3 o'clock. Well, there wasn't a second hand, so we can't say we didn't have the hand. Okay, so what are we yet to do? Create to target your second line element. I made a mistake, sorry. We are supposed to create target the second line element. I didn't pay attention to that. So set the transform property to rotate. अभी हम लोग line के अंदर pseudo selectors use करने वाले हैं, and for pseudo selectors what we use, how will we select the second line? So I think we're going to use the nth of type, maybe. But it says my code is incorrect, so let me look at the hint. Maybe that hint will help me understand more. Maybe nth of type is not what we are supposed to do. Maybe we are supposed to use another property. Let's see. Well, pseudo selector. So what does this say? You should create a dot line. So we were right till this line, these characters. After that, nth of type. Great. So we're going to use the nth of type selector, and nth of type. So which number? The second number. So we're going to target the second line element. So let me copy this. We are using a pseudo selector. We came across pseudo selectors before too, and we can see we only targeted the second all the rest of the 5 are still sitting here unscathed, if I dare say. उनको अभी तक हमने कुछ नहीं किया है. And we can move to the next step. Probably जैसे हमने nth of type 2 किया है, इसी तरह हम लोग nth of type 3 करेंगे, 4 करेंगे, 5 करेंगे और 6 करेंगे hopefully, or maybe that there might be a better way. Moving on to step 10. Using the same pattern, create a separate selector for the third line. Okay, so the same pattern, create a separate third line, the fourth line, the fifth line and sixth line. Exactly we are supposed to do this. So using the same pattern मैं क्या करूँगा, मैं ये curly bracket से लेके ये इतना मैं copy कर दूँगा and I'll paste it here. We're supposed to do it for the third, fourth and fifth and the sixth line. So I've already pasted it once. Let me paste it again, third time and the fourth time. Great. Now what else does this say? So set the transform property for the third line to 120, 180, 240 and 300. So let me change that. Before I do any of that, I will change this to what, 3 instead of 60. It will become 120. So sorry, 180. What? Not 1800. Sorry. You can see that now, because they are not inline elements, they are block elements. You can see that they are not exactly aligned, and their width and the height, and it also is because their width and the height is the same, so it will try to align itself. Now 180 degrees. Oh, we're supposed to make it 120 for the third one. Sorry about that. Now we have 120 degrees. It will almost look like a pizza or a pie. So 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me change the numbers here quickly. 4, 5 and 6. We are not changing the first value because the first value has already been set. So now for the fourth value, we will rotate it to 180 degrees. 180. You can see it has appeared here. We have half a pie now, 3 different triangles. If you think about it, well, they're not connected really, because if you see here, they're not all in the center. Yeah, because of the block property. Now we'll scroll up a little bit. Yeah, the fifth, we're going to set the fifth to 240 and the sixth to 300. So I can do that. Instead of 60 degrees, now you will become 240, and for the sixth, I will make it 300 degrees. So it will be in this direction, somewhere in this direction. So 60 ki jagah 300. Oh, not 3000, 300. And we can see we have a Ferris wheel now, and when I resize it, it will resize itself, because we've given the class property a height of the VW, viewport width, and 55 viewport width, and I think width and the height 55 VW. Anyway, moving on, ये हमने finish कर दिया है. That's what we were supposed to do, and we can check whether we are doing it right. Now we are on step 11. Create a .cabin selector. So I will write .cabin. That is a class selector. Class selector में हम लोग dot पहले mention करते हैं. Set the background color to red, the width to this, and the height to this. Okay. So let me write this down. So background. Oh, sorry. Typos all the way. Background color will be set to red. That is nice, not red. We are working on the cabin right now. We haven't mentioned the borders or the color of this cabin yet, and even if we have mentioned the background color, we haven't mentioned its width or height, so that's why it's invisible in the preview tab. Okay, we move on to the width and the height. So width is 20% and the height is also 20%. That is also another typo. So now you can see we have our cabin here, that is 20%. Okay, so that is the 20% cabin. Okay, and what are we to do? Am I missing anything? Nope. So that's what all the cabins look like. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, these are all the 6 cabins. That's not one cabin, that's why it looks this way. Do not worry, we'll probably, if we set the position to absolute, it will probably look different. So but we are not going to, I'm only setting the position to absolute for you guys to see and for myself to see what it will do. So if I write relative, nope, no change, that's probably my default. Absolute, that is not the correct spelling. And you can see now there are different boxes stacked on top of each other. So that's what one box looks like, and all the 6 are stacked on top of each other. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So because of that you can't see any other boxes. Anyway, we'll probably set the position to absolute in the next step. So what I could do is I'll cut this instead of deleting it, and we go to the next step. And you can see the position of absolute and a border of 2 pixels solid, and we're not going to mention the color of the border because I don't know. So let's see, position absolute, it has changed, and now we're going to set the border to 2 pixels, 2px space solid. So will it by default, so when we don't mention the color of the border, it will by default take it to be black. Make it black. And you can see we have different borders now, probably the same way we did this line nth of type. हम लोग यहाँ पे dot line की जगह probably अभी next step में dot cabin लिखने वाले हैं. So let me copy one of these properties. Before that we'll also change this from transform origin 000. ये भी करेंगे, आगे जाते हैं, पहले एक एक करके. One step at a time. So we are on step 13 now. On the 13th step, you can see transform origin of 50% to 0%. So 50% मतलब यहाँ पे होना चाहिए, top से 50%. You can see, sorry, from the left. So from the left 50%, which will probably be almost the center, or here, somewhere around here, not the center. It will be the center of the top line. And you can see 0% from the top, मतलब 50% यहाँ से और 0% यहाँ से. So this should be somewhere around here, and that's where the offset will be. So जब Ferris wheel move करेगा तो ये intact रहेगा, ये वाला position, and the rest of it will move. So we are on this. अभी हम लोग क्या करेंगे, हम लोग first transform origin करने वाले हैं. So let me go up and copy this line, transform 0%. If I press enter, 0%, nothing has changed yet क्योंकि हमने अभी तक animation डाला नहीं है. We are in the process. Even if I make it 50%, there won't be any change on the preview, because again animation डाला नहीं. Okay, so transform origin 50%. हाँ ठीक है. That's it for this step 13, and we can go to the next step now. Now what are we to do? So time to position the cabins around the wheel. Nice. So select the first dot cabin element, set the right property to -8.5 and top property to 50%. Okay, let's go. First, just like we did it to cabin, I just select the first cabin element. हाँ तो इसको तो दे दिया, अभी हम लोग first cabin element पकड़ने वाले हैं. So what we did for the first cabin element was this. Why does it say first cabin element and not the second? I do not understand. देखते हैं, फिर से read करते हैं. शायद उसने select the first cabin element. Okay. Maybe we are going to do it for all of them. Why? Because we must not have, we didn't mention the top and the left position and the absolute position of the first cabin. That's probably why. So instead of line, this will become a cabin. Now instead of 2, this will be 1. हाँ 1 है फिर भी वो मूव कर रहे हैं बिकॉज ऑल 6 ऑफ देम आर इन द सेम प्लेस. तो अगर मैं यहाँ पे 3 भी कर देता तो ये प्रीव्यू चेंज नहीं होता. मेक सेंस. नाउ इंस्टेड ऑफ ट्रांसफॉर्म रोटेट वी आर गोइंग टू गिव इट द राइट प्रॉपर्टी. क्यों? क्योंकि यहाँ पे हमने पोजीशन एब्सोल्यूट मेंशन कर दी है. जो भी सेटिंग्स अप्लाई होंगे इन पे वो फर्स्ट पे ऑब्वियसली होंगे. सो राइट द फर्स्ट वैल्यू विल बी -8.5%. You can see that has appeared over there and we will set the top property. तो top की वजह से वो तो नीचे आएगा, 50% नीचे आ जाएगा. So it will be somewhere around here. Okay, now we write top 50%. Oh sorry, semicolon. Yep, you can see that has appeared over here. और 50% है मतलब यहाँ पे है तो वो ऐसे घूम करेगा whenever we gave it the animation. And you can see even if I didn't mention the semicolon before the curly bracket, it still accepted my value, my properties and the values. So if you don't want to mention it, it will still work. If you do want to mention it, I suggest you do, but this also works. Now we go to step 15. Continue. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. I have some continuing the pattern. Select the following .cabin elements. So we're going to continue this pattern. Copy and apply the specific rules to them. So these are specific rules. Before I go into them, let me just copy and paste it until all the 6 elements are covered in the class letter. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Now we have. Oh, yeah. I copied that. We're going to paste it only 2 more times instead of 4 more times. Paste. Enter. Paste. Now we have 6. Now we can start editing based on the specific rules. So for the second cabin, the second cabin will be this. We haven't changed the right or the top positions yet, so there's no change. But so -8.5 will become, should have the right property set to 17%. So instead of -8.5, it will become 17%. And you can see it has appeared here. Now instead of 50% top, we will make it 93.5%. So 93.5, and now you can see it is placed here. फिर हम लोग जाएंगे थर्ड पे. This will become the third cabin. थर्ड cabin के लिए क्या करेंगे, थोड़ा स्क्रॉल करते हैं. Can you guys see that? Yep, that's the third cabin. Now we're going to set the right property 67 and 93.5. तो थोड़ा स्क्रॉल कर देता हूँ. I could also copy this value and I will paste it here. Can you guys see that? Yes, 93.5. You can see इसके बाजू में वो आ गया है, and this is because it's -8.5. It is to the right, or it could be to the left. Who knows? Now the third. Let me get myself a glass of water. Why don't you guys? It seems I'm yawning. I yawned 3 times in a row. Let me get myself some coffee. Why don't you guys listen to the music for a while? Maybe 5 minutes. I'll be gone 5 minutes tops. See you guys. Welcome back, guys. Let's continue with the responsive web design. Okay, so let me share my screen. Great. So where were we? We were changing the cabin nth of type. Yep. We changed the values. So that's where we were. We are supposed to change. Can you guys see that? You guys cannot. So now we're going to set the properties for the third cabin. What does it say? 67% for the right property. Let me scroll down. So this is the right property. Now I will change it to 67%. You can see it is moved. It moved from here to here. Then we go to the fourth one. So fourth one is minus 8.5 and 50%. So yeah, so this already has the values. Instead of 1, now I will write 4. It has not moved. Am I doing it right? Minus 8.5 and the top property. So it is to be, this is supposed to be left and not right. So here I'll write left. Nice. And then we go to the next step, next part of the step. So now we go to the fifth cabin. Fifth cabin should have the left property set to 17% and top to 7%. So okay, left and top 17.7. So we go here, we make it 5 instead of 8. We make it 7 and top 17%. Right will become left. Left. I think I copied it I pasted it one more time. We don't need that. I'll quickly make this 6. So I can see minus 8.5. Let's try to place it ourselves maybe. Excuse me. Let me change this right to 80%. Let's see. Not 1%. What? Okay. And top 50 to 70. That will give us a perspective. So this is the red. We are supposed to place it here. So it should probably have the same values for top as this. So that is the 1, 2. That is the second value, which is 93.5%. So from top it won't be 93.5%, but from the right it will be 17%. Of course, we can figure it out for ourselves, or we could just copy and paste the values. Doesn't matter. You can see now it is aligned with this, and we'll try to move it above. So instead of minus 8.5, what if I write 8.5? Now it's there, but it's quite not there yet, or maybe it is. Let us check let's check what the step says. So the sixth cabin should have the right property to 17%, right to 17 and top to 7. So right to 17 and top to 7. And so instead of 8.5, we will write 7. You can see it has moved a little bit up. And let's see. So the right to 17 and top to 7. Let's check whether we're missing something. So the second cabin should have the right property. It has the right property called right, with right set to 17% and top set to 93.5. No typos there. Then we go to the third cabin. The third cabin, is that third cabin visible? Okay, let me for this step turn the lower third off so you guys can see what is happening. Lower third is closed off now. It will not appear for a few minutes. Now you can see here this number. So let's check the value of this number. 67%. So the right property for the third cabin, this is the third cabin, it is to be set to 67% and the top to 93.5. Okay, then we go to the fourth cabin. So second, third, now we go to the fourth cabin. Fourth cabin is this. So it will have the left property left I'll have to scroll a little bit. Okay, I'll have to use the keyboard, the touchpad scroll that is a little bit smoother. Now we are on the fourth cabin. In the fourth cabin, the property is left and it is set to -8.5. Good. The top is set to 50%. Nice. Then you go to the fifth cabin. For the fifth cabin, I'll have to memorize and I can't check it. So left and the top property 17 and 7. So left 17 and top 7. So we go to the fifth cabin. Left 7. Top 7. Yep, we can see the mistake right here. So the left is to be 17 and the top is to be 7. But I made a mistake here. So let's solve that mistake. Now it's placed correctly. Great. I think we just checked this earlier, so we don't need to check that again. And we can check whether our code is correct. We have the green light, and let me turn my lower third on again. And the moment I turn it on, you guys can see the lower third has appeared, and it disappeared again, and it has appeared again. Okay, moving on. I can see, before I move on, I can see I have 2 viewers watching this video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you so much for your support, and let us continue. Just a second. I can see my Facebook Live is stuck. Why is that so? Oh, it's not stuck. Great. We are not stuck on Facebook, and we are not stuck, or we are not. Okay, so the stream does not have any problems. You guys can see this. Great. We are ready to go to the next challenge. There is some good coffee. Now we're going to use a rule, just like media, we're going to use @keyframes. When it says keyframes, I can understand it has something to do with the frames. Keyframes, if you think, so I came across this term keyframes in Blender too when I was setting the animation for our earlier videos. If you want to check out a few of our videos, I'll link them in the description, and you can check out what animation I used for them. Unfortunately, I haven't created a video where I show how to set Blender animations, but in Blender animations we also used keyframes. So if I want to quickly give you an explanation, what I can do is, so let's say at this point in time, so if you imagine point A and point B, so let's say what happens in animation is something is going from point A to point B, or it is transforming itself, it's transforming its shape from this point to this point, or it's moving its position from this position to this position. So this movement, what you see is, you can call that animation. And when an image expands, that is also animation if you think about it. And so that's what keyframes are. Let's say first keyframe is position of this. So let's think of this as, so my hand is right now close to the camera. So if you think of this as the first keyframe, and if I set the last keyframe to be here, so the motion I can say is that from the first keyframe to the last keyframe, whatever the distance, whatever the time that is, तो इन दोनों पॉइंट में यहाँ पे गया. तो ऑफ कोर्स मैं की फ्रेम में probably आई एम यूजिंग द ब्लेंडर सेटिंग्स राइट नाउ. तो अगर मुझे 10 सेकेंड में इस फिंगर को यहाँ से यहाँ ले जाना है, तो मैं वो सेटिंग्स यूज़ कर सकता हूँ. और ऑफ कोर्स इन 10 सेकेंड्स इट विल लुक वेरी स्लो, इट विल बी स्लो मोशन, बट यू गाइस गेट इट. सो अगर मैं की फ्रेम मेंशन करता हूँ दैट फर्स्ट सेकेंड पे ये फिंगर यहाँ पे होने चाहिए, and 10th second पे यहाँ पे होने चाहिए. So then it will move it from here to here. So that's how I used Blender. It is a very rudimentary way of explaining what keyframes are in Blender, but I think you get a general idea. अगर नहीं आ रहा तो भी ये कोड करके भी थोड़ा समझ आ ही जाएगा. Okay, so what does this say? The keyframes at rule is used to define the flow of a CSS animation. Flow of an animation, कहाँ से कहाँ, कौन से कितने seconds में जाएगा, and so on and so forth. And within the keyframes rule, at rule, you can create selectors for specific points. Just like the media at rule, we can also create selectors inside this at rule for specific points in the animation sequence, such as 0% to 25%, or use from and to define the start and end of the sequence. Okay, I see. Okay, so our from and to selectors are arguments, just like the and operators are they. So from and to ऐसा कुछ है. Let's read further and try to understand how they mention keyframes, how they have defined keyframes. So keyframes rules require a name to be assigned to them, which you use in other rules for reference. Okay, for example, add keyframes, freeCodeCamp rule would be named freeCodeCamp. अच्छा, सो ऐसे की फ्रेम्स के बाद स्पेस डालेंगे एंड देन freeCodeCamp लिखेंगे तो ऐसा दिखेगा. लेट मी कॉपी दिस, लेट मी पेस्ट इट सो आई कैन गेट ए बेटर लुक. अगर मैं इसको थोड़ा रीसाइज कर देता हूँ तो नहीं, ओके, नो प्रॉब्लम. मे बी आई होप दैट इट वुड realign itself. The text would instead of wrapping it would stay in the same line. Anyway, so freeCodeCamp rule will be named freeCodeCamp. Makes sense. So there needs to be a space between them. ये तो सब ठीक है. इन कर्ली ब्रैकेट्स के अंदर हम सब selectors डालेंगे. But anyway, what else does he say? Okay, time to start animating. Yes. And how much? So we've already reached step 16. We are not, I think we're almost over yet. हमने half ख़त्म कर दिया है. Maybe 28 steps थे तो या हमने हाफ से ज़्यादा ख़त्म कर दिया है. बट एनीवे, सो देयर वोंट बी एनी सो मैनी स्टेप्स इन्वॉल्व इन दिस. इट विल probably involve more thinking and more copying and pasting. So animation is very easy to do in CSS. It looks that way. Okay, so add keyframes at rule and we'll give it the value wheel, the name wheel. तो probably वो wheel को घुमाने के लिए कुछ setting होगा. Okay, that's it for this step. Now you need to define your animation, how your animation should start. To do this, create a 0% rule within your keyframes wheel rule. The properties you set in this nested selector will apply at the beginning of your animation. Yes. So 0% rule, that is a selector in itself. That is very cool. So let us, you know what, I'm going to copy this class selector. I wouldn't say class selector, I don't know what kind of selector it is, but I've noticed that with type selectors we don't mention any dots, any hash values, anything really. We just give it the name, whatever the name it is. It could be I don't know, wheel, circle, square. We don't put any dots or any hashes before them. So this could be a type selector. Now we go to this step. क्या बता रहा है यार? 0% रूल करने वाले हैं. और अच्छा, अभी हम लोग उसमें सब कलर वाला कुछ डालने नहीं वाले for this. We are only supposed to create a selector with the value 0%. तो ये बना दिया 0%. Let's read whether we are missing something. The properties you set in this nested selector will apply at the beginning of an animation. हाँ, तो beginning में वो कहाँ पे होगा? तो भी Ferris wheel की पोजीशन ये है at 0%, that is the 0%, the beginning. At 100% it will have moved maybe this way, it will have moved maybe counterclockwise. We will read it, we will find out. Right now I think that is the only thing we are supposed to do, and that is what we are supposed to do. Now we go to the next step. Give the zero ruler transform property and set it to rotate 0 degrees. तो ये हम लोग ऊपर से उठा सकते हैं और उठाएंगे. You can see this property transform rotate. तो ये उठाते हैं. I will give this selector this property of transform. थोड़ा उसने indentation फिर से अजीब कर दिया. Instead of 300 degrees, I will write 0 degree. So 0% पे वो 0 degrees पे रहेगा. So So this will start the animation with no rotation. Yes. और फिर वो rotate करना शुरू कर देगा. Now give the add keyframes wheel rule. So अच्छा, this becomes a rule. So this is a rule now with a rule a 100% selector. So पहले 0% मेंशन किया, अभी हम लोग यहाँ पे 100% selector बनाएंगे, 100% नाम वाला selector बनाएंगे. So I'll press enter, I'll press tab again. कुछ spacing में गड़बड़ लग रही है, let me check this quickly. 3 spaces है, that's why. Now it looks much better. Yes. So instead of 0 now I will make it 1000%. You can see अभी तक कुछ change नहीं हुआ है. And what if I make it 360 now? Will we see the change immediately? No, not yet. I think we are still supposed to do a few more things, like 11 more steps. So within that, set the transform to rotate 360 degree. Done कर दिया. By doing this, your animation will now complete a full rotation. It will complete a full rotation. We can go to the next step. अरे बाप रे, कुछ नया आया. Okay, so what does this say? The animation name property, that is a new property, is used to link a keyframes rule to a CSS selector. So I think this is important. हमने जो rule बनाया है, if you think about it, we've only given it a name, we haven't connected it to a different selector. What if I were to make this blue? It would also accept it as a rule because it is a name. So अभी हम कैसे ये पोजीशन को, मतलब ये रूल को एक CSS क्लास सेलेक्टर के साथ कनेक्ट करेंगे, लिंक करेंगे. या लिंक इज़ द राइट वर्ड. So it's used to link keyframes rules to a selector. So we'll use animation name property to link them. The value of this property should match the name of the keyframes rule. अच्छा, तो मैं animation name लिखूँगा और इसकी value लिखूँगा wheel. Make sense? Why? Because this has the value wheel. Make sense? Okay. And if it doesn't make sense to you, मैं यहाँ पे कोड करके दिखाऊँगा तो आपको समझ आएगा. Okay. Now give a wheel select an animation property set to wheel. The animation duration. अच्छा, फिर name के बाद duration property is used to set how long the animation should sequence to complete. हाँ, तो 0 से 360 degrees जाने में वो कितने seconds लेगा, कितने minutes लेगा, कितने hours लेगा. Okay. The time should be specified in either seconds or milliseconds. तो मतलब 10s, 10 ms, 10,000 ms, maybe 10,100 s. तो 100 सेकेंड मतलब हाउ मेनी 1 hour 40 minutes में वो पूरा एक 360 degrees टर्न लेगा. But this is a Ferris wheel. Will probably take it. We should probably set it to maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds. हाँ, यहाँ पे लिखा है 10 seconds. So the time should be specified in either seconds or milliseconds. And we'll select to have an animation property of 10 seconds. So अभी हम लोग animation name and animation duration properties add करेंगे to this wheel class selector. So I'll scroll up for you guys to see. Animation name, यहाँ पे मैं wheel लिख दूँगा. And animation hyphen duration मतलब कितना लंबा, 10 सेकेंड तक ये चलेगा. जैसे ही मैं डालूँगा ये वैल्यू मूव करनी शुरू हो गई. बट इफ़ यू सी हियर, अच्छा ये 10 सेकेंड के बाद बंद हो जाता है. इट डजंट कंटिन्यू indefinitely. ओके, तो जैसे 10 सेकेंड किया, सो व्हेन द वेबसाइट लोड्स इट विल start rotating and it will stop after 10 seconds and it won't continue after one rotation. Okay, we'll probably solve something. And you could also if you were also paying attention, तो ये जो cabins थे वो cabins की भी direction change नहीं हो रही थी. They didn't stay the same. So we'll do something about that in the next steps, subsequent steps. Sip another one. I'll place it here. That will be more easily accessible. वी आर ऑन द 21st स्टेप. जैसे 21st स्टेप पे, अच्छा हाँ, क्योंकि वो उसने प्रीव्यू को फिर से लोड किया. सो द एनिमेशन इटरेशन काउंट, इटरेशन मतलब कितने बार रिपीट करेगा. Reiterate, you must, well, iterate and reiterate are two different things. So कितने बार करेगा. Let's just find out what iteration means and brush up our knowledge. So it says the repetition of a process or a turn. So iteration is कितनी बार वो repeat होगा. और it doesn't mention कितनी बार. Repetition, किसी चीज़ का repetition. So the animation repetition iteration count, वो प्रॉपर्टी को यूज़ करके हम लोग प्रॉबेबली वो इन्फिनिट कर देंगे. तो वो 10 सेकंड ख़त्म हो जाएंगे, उसके बाद बंद नहीं होगा, वो इन्फिनिटली गोल घूमता रहेगा. एस्केप. थोड़ी से हाउ मेनी टाइम्स एनिमेशन शुड रिपीट. तो भाई 10 बार करना है, 20 बार करना है, 50 बार करना है. दिस कैन बी सेट टू ए नंबर और टू इन्फिनिट टू indefinitely repeat the animation. Great. Your Ferris wheel should never stop. So set the wheel selector to have an animation iteration count of infinite. Quite easy. तो जैसे मैं ये प्रॉपर्टी अप्लाई करूँगा, it will probably not stop after 10 seconds. Let us find out. But now you can see that after the 10 seconds वो थोड़ा glitch करता है. You see it stops and then it starts again. We probably will also do something about that, so to make it seamless. You can see it slows down at the end. वो beginning में थोड़ा full speed में जाता है, but end में वो धीरे धीरे slow करता है, मतलब stop करता है. Maybe we'll do something about that. Let's see. The animation timing function property sets how the animation should progress over time. There are a few different values for this property, but you want the Ferris wheel animation to run at the same rate from start to finish. Exactly, the rate isn't even, so we're going to make it linear, and when we make it linear it will probably be smoother. It won't act that way. So animation timing function, here I'll write this and I'll make it linear. So now I think it is still slow. Maybe I made a mistake. Let's see. Oh yes, now it is slower, but the pace is uniform. It's not like that it's in the beginning it is slow and then it picks up pace when it's in the middle and then it's slow again. Now it is uniform. That is probably because of linear. We'll probably make another rule for the cabins now, but let's go to the next step and see. Oh. Now we're going to create another keyframes rule. Great. The at rule with the name cabins. So भी हम लोग cabins पे apply करेंगे. क्या होगा? हाँ, तो ये तो चल ही रहा है, but ये चल रहा है उसके साथ साथ भी उसकी position swing होनी चाहिए. It shouldn't be like this. जैसे ये square है और I would call this a cabin. This stays inside all the time. This stays outside most all the time, like some of it. And for this too, and this is in the center all the time. So instead of this, हम लोग कुछ apply करेंगे. You guys know Ferris wheels don't act this way. So add keyframes with the rule name cabins. Okay, use the same properties as a keyframe wheel. Copy कर लेंगे. Copying both the 0% and 100% rules, but set the transform property of the 100% selector to rotate minus 360 degrees. Let's see what happens. We're going to copy this. हम लोग wheel के जगह उसको लिख देंगे cabins. Name उसका कर देंगे cabins, and instead of minus 360 degrees instead of 360 degrees we'll make it minus 360 degrees. So let me paste that. Wheel को हम कर देंगे cabin and rotate. ये भी move नहीं करना because we haven't linked this keyframes rule to the selector cabin. Okay, और क्या बोल रहा है? Okay, that's it. We can go. Oh nope, that is not it. So it's supposed to be cabins and not cabin. Sorry. use the same properties as your keyframes, wheels, copying both the 0% and 100% rules, but set the transform property of the 100% to minus 360 degree. I think we are good to go to the next step. Now we are on step 23. अभी हम लोग उनको connect करेंगे, link करेंगे. So let's read and we'll probably do a few more things. यहाँ पे लिखा ही है. So with your wheel selector you created 4 different properties to control the animation. Yes. Which ones you guys mention in the comments. Then for your character you can use the animation property to set these all at once. So these all at once. So the animation property of the cabin rule to cabins 10s. Oh, so it is a shorthand property animation. Very cool. So इससे हम link भी कर पाएंगे, duration भी mention कर पाएंगे. What will you call this? We'll call it the timing function. Yeah, the timing function to be linear and the iteration count to be infinite. Very cool. So यहाँ पे मैं scroll करूँगा, एक और बार scroll करूँगा. थोड़ा दिख रहा है आपको? Yes. थोड़ा और scroll करता हूँ. Yes, that is much better. And in here we will write animation. This is also a shorthand property. You can put in a bunch of arguments. And you can see that happened. If I only write cabins, what will happen? Then the cabins will stay the same and the animation will be applied minus 360 degree, I don't know. And then command Z, so 10 seconds, same amount of time it takes for the wheel to turn. What if I make this 5 seconds? हाँ तो वो जल्दी घूमेंगे. Not 50 seconds, 5 seconds, sorry. हाँ तो ये और जल्दी घूमेंगे literally. They're literally moving faster. 1 second. Look at that. 1 second. So if I write 0.5 seconds, we're moving at an even faster pace. 0.1%. Wow. Yeah. So that is happening. So you can play with these settings to make it even more interesting. What if I write 0.01%? Now they are even faster. 0.001% even faster. At some point they will be extremely, oh my god, they are moving so fast. They look शायद कंप्यूटर प्रोसेसर की फट गई है इसलिए वो भी कुछ नहीं कर रहा है. Yep. Or maybe they are too fast. This value is too fast for the computer to compute. But you get it. I'll make it 10% again, 10 seconds again, so it is uniform. That is cool. Okay. I'll press command control enter and we can see now this is entered in this order. So first we mention the animation name, then we mention the animation duration, and then we mention the timing function, whether it's it's supposed to go linear, or what if I write non-linear? What if I write non-linear? Will it accept that value? लिया नहीं लिया पता नहीं. Nope. Maybe there are a few values that can be played with this. You can play with different values in here. But for now, we will go to the next step. To make your cabin animation seem more like a natural swinging motion, you can use the ease in out timing function. Oh, okay. More like it's natural swinging. अच्छा, okay. Ease in out. अच्छा. In out probably मतलब एक animation खत्म हो फिर उसके बाद कुछ glitch आता हो, glitch को handle करने के लिए. So this setting will tell the animation to start and end at a slower pace to move, but move more quickly in the middle of the cycle. Literally this. हाँ तो beginning में थोड़ा slow होगा, end में थोड़ा slow होगा, लेकिन बीच में faster, relatively faster. More quickly, it says more quickly. so relatively faster than this. Okay, but move. Okay, replace linear to ease in art. So yeah, our wishes were fulfilled. Instead of linear, now we will try EAS in, ease in out. So I think beginning और end अगर slow होंगे तो हमें पता नहीं चलेगा कि beginning और end है. So let's see. After the 10 seconds end, what happens? Is there a glitch? Okay, are the 10 seconds over yet? I think the 10 seconds have already finished, or maybe I'm taking it slow. But that is extremely seamless. I don't know whether 10 seconds have passed, 30 seconds have passed, or 40 seconds have passed. I have no clue. But I have one clue that there is a loud noise coming from the background. Anyway, we can go to the next step now. Ease in and out. That's how linear ease in and out function work. Ease in and out probably so that वो थोड़ा glitchy ना लगे. Now you can use keyframes rule. Nice. We are back to control more than just the transformation of an element in the 0% selector of your keyframes. Oh yeah, we were also supposed to change the color. अच्छा तो 0 से लेके 100 में वो कलर चेंज करेगा. वेरी कूल. अच्छा तो हाँ, येलो और रेड हमने देखा था. सो वो प्रॉपर्टी कहाँ डालेंगे कि वो रेड स्लोली येलो से रेड जाएगा. वी विल सी. Maybe that animation thing from 10 seconds, and so that animation property would take care of it. Let's see. What if I make this yellow? Oh, it's not a. Sorry. Let me just YELLOW semicolon. And at the end of 10 seconds it becomes red, and at the moment it begins, the color automatically changes instead of going smoothly back to red. What will we do about that? We'll probably do something about that. Let's see. Between the 0% and 100% selectors, add a 50% selector. This will apply in the middle of the animation cycle. Set the background color to purple. अच्छा तो हम लिए अपने 3 कलर डालने वाले हैं. Okay. This will be 50%. So add one more space. Here I will write 50% in the curly brackets. I will make it. Okay, yeah, paste it. A curly bracket एक extra आ गया क्योंकि मैंने curly bracket copy किया था. And instead of yellow, I will change this to purple. Now 50 सेकंड मतलब 5 seconds, sorry 50% मतलब 5 seconds पे ये purple होगा, फिर कुछ seconds के बाद ये red होगा, and then it will become, whoa, is it seamless now? Let's see, वो red yellow transition कैसे करता है? Is it, yeah, so it is still not well complete. It shouldn't be quick. We are supposed to make it look like a strobe, a smooth one at that, a smooth strobe. So let's see what we can do. And we can see हम लोग step 27 पे पहुंच गए. 2 steps ही बाकी है guys. We will be finished with this so early. So what does this say? Because the animation is on an infinite loop and the start and end colors are not the same, the transition appears jerky when it switches back to yellow from red. It does jerky, yeah, वो abrupt change हो जाता है. It doesn't look like it is smooth. It is not a smooth transition from yellow to red. Sorry, red to yellow. You could see that right there, and that's what I've been talking about for a few times now, for some minutes now. Okay. To start fixing this, remove the background color from your 0% selector. अगर यहाँ से हटा देंगे तो क्या होगा? Command backspace to remove the entire line, and we have the green light. Let's see what happens now. तो ये purple है, purple के बाद red हो जाता है, and रेड के बाद वो वापस पर्पल हो जाता है. येलो हैज़ completely disappeared because it never had the color yellow in the first place. Now create a new 25% selector between your 0 and 50% selectors. Give this new selector the background color property set to yellow. Very cool. We'll probably also see or not the 75%. Maybe this is how they wanted to look like. Okay, now I will write 25%. In this I will write transform. Nope, no transform, sorry. In this we will put the background color to yellow. So I think that will make it a little more seamless. So रेड से शुरू हुआ, 25% पे येलो हुआ, फिर 50% पे पर्पल हुआ, एंड अगेन इट मूव्ड बैक. So let's think keyframes. If I think about it, yes, it makes sense in Blender too. It works similarly. तो हम लोग फर्स्ट फ्रेम सेट करते हैं. सो इन दिस इट सेज 0%. सो फर्स्ट फ्रेम मैंने सेट की कि फर्स्ट फ्रेम पे ये कलर रेड दिखेगा. देन 25%. सो इफ़ यू थिंक अबाउट इट, हाउ मेनी सेकेंड्स, सो दैट्स 2.5 सेकेंड्स. तो वो 2.5 सेकेंड्स पे भी इसका कलर येलो हो जाएगा. तो वो ट्रांजिशन इन 2.5 सेकेंड्स में होगा फ्रॉम रेड टू येलो. देन 25 to 50%. उन दोनों के बीच में उनका ट्रांजिशन होगा फ्रॉम येलो टू पर्पल. सो नाउ इट इज़ पर्पल हियर, और इन दोनों के बीच में वो ट्रांजिशन चल रहा है. फिर वापस 50 to 100%. इफ़ यू थिंक अबाउट इट, इफ़ आई मेक दिस 100% एंड दिस इज़ 50%, तो 50 to 100%. इतने टाइम पे वो एक पॉइंट आएगा विच इज़ प्रॉबेबली 75%, वेयर इट विल बी completely purple, and then it will go back to red. I could be wrong about all of this, but basically this is how it flows. So we have mentioned 4 keyframes, 1, 2, 3, 4. The first keyframe is at 0%, the second is 25%, the third is 50%, and the fourth is 100%. Makes sense? Blender में भी keyframes kind of ऐसे काम करते हैं. You can set as many keyframes as the number of the frames of a video you're going to render. Oh, I'm sorry, we still had one more step to go. So we are on the last step. It says finally. It begins with finally, so we can conclude that it is the last step. Finally, create a new 75%. See, I told you so. So 75% भी डालना बाकी था. Between your 50% and 100% selectors, give this new selector a background color property set to yellow. So what I can do is I'll copy this. I can copy this. Acha, with that your animation is much smoother and your Ferris wheel is complete. I have a notification. Anyway, we can move on from that notification. Now let me just press enter and paste, and instead of 25% I will make it 75%. And let's see the change, whether it is much smoother or not. So now we have 5 keyframes, and you can see that it does look much smoother with or without the 75%. अभी हर एक कलर को हमने तो इक्वल अमाउंट्स दे दिए, तो it does look smoother. I think we are done with the Ferris wheel, guys. That was great work. That is good stuff. I keep getting messages. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Yeah, that is the end of this project, and we will continue with the next project now. Oh bapre, I just saw a small glimpse of a penguin. That does look intimidating. Whoa. So we have animation, we have layers, we have gradients, we have linear gradients, we have this circular gradient, radial gradient. Wow. So that is happening. This will probably be the background, और background को भी linear gradient दिया है. दो background है. एक background is the floor is lava, and the floor is ice here. Then we can see we have a penguin. ओ बाप रे, ये penguin की भी क्या properties होंगी? अरे बाप रे. That is a sight for us to see. बाप रे, so we can see it is moving. So 1, 2, and then it stops, and then it begins again. Oh my god, oh my god. Then we have this triangle. Triangles are kind of easy to do now because and it also has a, I think, spread radius, not blur radius, but maybe spread radius. So spread radius has been applied to this value. Spread radius किसमें था? I think we learned spread radius with color markers. Spread radius भी हम लोग apply करने वाले हैं. Because of that we can see this blurry shape which helps us understand depth. So वो दोनों mountains थोड़े दूर हैं. Maybe mountains, maybe glaciers, who am I to judge? I don't know really. Then we have gradients all over this place. Radial gradient, this gradient, that gradient. I think the only thing that doesn't have a gradient is this. इस penguin को भी realistic बनाने के लिए इसको gradient दिया है. You can see this has a darker shade and the rest of it has a lighter shade. This does not have a gradient. These are legs. Legs को भी realistic बनाना हो तो दे सकते हैं gradients, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. और ये हाथ है और ये हाथ को बहुत weird oval shape दिया है. Probably left, right, top left, top right, top bottom की रेडियस, बॉर्डर रेडियस कुछ अलग अलग सेट किए हैं. इसका भी कुछ अलग अलग साइज़ है. Then we have this weird shape. You can see this is a straight line. This is also a straight line, but the rest of it has a border. So इसके border radius probably कुछ 40%, 30% दिया होगा. Okay. So that's what we're going to build, and we can again see that this is not an almost oval. I can see an almost straight line here and here. That's what we're going to build. And this is not, the sun's color is not exactly yellow, but it is probably a greenish and yellow shade of yellow. So that's what we're going to build, guys, now. And let us begin with the first step. The first step, I think by far we all know, that we're going to add the boilerplate HTML code. Great. और इसका एनिमेशन मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा है. So it moves twice, up, down, and then it stops for a few seconds, and then it begins again. Okay. You will be building a happy flappy penguin. It is a happy flappy penguin, and further exploring CSS transformations and animations in the process. Yes. Transforms, not transformations. Transform tool का और इस्तेमाल करने वाले. Okay, so we learned, if you think about it, we only learned rotation. We didn't do anything else. Transform में हम लोग उसके XY coordinates भी move करने वाले हैं. So not only will we change the rotation, but we will also change the transform value. So if you think about it, when my hand is rotating, it is rotating this way. But if I'm doing this, so if you want to assume this as a hand, assume this as a hand of a penguin. So then the X and the Y coordinates are also moving, but I don't know, I'm not sure. I am thinking it in terms of Blender, so that's why I'm thinking of it in that way. Maybe the transform function works in a different manner in this. So anyway, to begin with your basic HTML boilerplate, include the doc type HTML declaration, HTML element with the language set to English, the appropriate meta tags. Appropriate meta tags. When it says appropriate meta tags, I'm going to assume to add all three of them, as in the two of them. One is the viewport setting and one is the char set setting, and we'll also give it the head body title element. Also link your style sheet, so we'll also add the link element. So quickly we'll write the HTML boilerplate. So caps lock, write exclamation doc type, then caps lock off HTML. Oh, but the caps lock is off. it is not off. So HTML close, I will copy this. Oh, the doc type should not have been in lowercase, so doctype doc type HTML. Now we go here, we put the opening HTML tag, copy, paste, closing HTML tag. We'll also give it the language attribute to, oh, this is caps lock here, sorry. So lang equals en English. Inside this we will give it the body and the head, body and title. Okay, so head, copy head, paste head. Yeah, you know what, I'll give the body tag first. Body tag, we're not supposed to do anything to it, so leave it. Now we go back inside the head element. In this we will put the self-closing meta tag. So first meta tag will be char set. The value will be UTF-8. We close this. Then we put another meta tag. It will have the name attribute set to viewport, that is for mobile screens. I'm not sure whether we are supposed to add it, but it says appropriate meta tags. So let's see. Then we go to the viewport and we give it the content attribute, and the value of this content attribute will be, so width equals device hyphen width. Initial scale will be set to 1.0. That's it. Now we can go to the next element. Sorry, I was just moving my chair, readjusting my chair a little. Now we will also give it a title element. Title element, copy, paste. Inside the title, what title are we supposed to give? We're supposed to give it the appropriate title. Okay. अच्छा title element ही डालना है, कुछ text नहीं डालना है. For now, it will probably ask us to add the text later. Okay, and we'll also link a style sheet. So using the link element, the link tag, I would say link is a self-closing tag, guys. Link के अंदर हम लोग mention करेंगे relationship. So जो भी link हम लोग कर रहे हैं, जो भी website page URL को link कर रहे हैं, उसकी relationship क्या है? So it's a style sheet. This will probably have values assigned to it कि भाई relationship अपने ये relationship आप mention कर सकते हैं और कोई नहीं. Now we will also mention the href value. Href will be, the default one is styles.css, but if we do not pass this, then I'll try putting the /styles.css. I think I've explained it a few times what that / is for, and we haven't passed this yet. So wait, title, title, and the closing tag title. What are we missing? Yeah, the closing tag. We still haven't finished this. So let's see the doc type declaration, HTML lang, opening and closing head, opening and closing body, opening and closing meta. Char set, name is set to viewport, width is device width, there is no typo. Initial, it should not be initial, it should be initial scale. And this should not be a colon, this should be an equal to sign. Then we have the title. I have not set the appropriate title yet. Okay, but yeah, even if we were to set a title, I could just write penguin and get over with it. Get it over with. Then we have the link attribute, link element with the relationship style sheet, styles.css, no typos there. Let's check. The title should have some text, so that's the last part. We'll give it a value penguin. I can keep the preview closed because we are not doing anything with it yet. Now we're going to target the body element. बोला और शुरू हो गया. Now we are in the styles page. अगर हम लोग body element को target करने वाले तो फिर वो प्रीव्यू में कुछ ना कुछ दिखेगा. You can see background. चलो background से linear gradient शुरू कर दिया है. Great. So what does this say? You know what? I will type and I'll also read. So body element type selector मैंने select किया है. So I don't need to mention the dot or the hash. Now we're going to use linear gradient instead of a radial gradient. वो probably वो div के लिए देंगे. So linear gradient. Oh, not this. Okay. Linear gradient is a function. We have to mention the property first. So background, not background color because it is an image, not a color. Linear gradient function creates images, not colors. Angle 45 degrees. So according to the syntax, this is how we write. Instead of 44, it should be 45 degrees clockwise. So clockwise, when it says clockwise, we know that it will be a positive value. 45 degrees ऐसे move करेगा from whatever its default value is. Starting at RGB this. So this is the first color. When using linear gradients, what happened? Why did I not? Okay. Copy this from here till here. That makes sense. पता नहीं वो कुछ window unselect हो गया था, कुछ हो गया था, whatever. So we have the first color and you can see जब हम first color डालते हैं तो वो automatically यहाँ पे नहीं दिखता है क्योंकि we need 2 colors to finish a linear gradient, to complete a linear gradient. डाल दिया and we'll immediately see a color change. So अभी हमने body element को ये दिया है background color. If I change the padding to 20 pixels, कुछ नहीं हुआ. अरे बाप रे. क्योंकि वो inner padding है. And if I make the margin 80 pixels, nope, no change. Interesting. So maybe it's not applied to this. But yeah, this is an unnecessary step. What I just wrote is unnecessary. You can go ahead after this step when I finish it. So you can go ahead after to the next step. Done. I was trying to play with it. Maybe I could resize the body, but I was wrong. Normalize your page sizing by removing the body elements margin and padding. अला मैंने अभी margin padding change किया. But when we set it to 0 pixels, it will work. But what if I make it 100 pixels? I want to find out whether it does make a difference. What if I write 100 pixels? And the padding to also the padding to 100 pixels. I do want to know. So no changes yet. अभी body अगर मुझे, because body is inside HTML, what if I were to change the HTML? देखते ना. Definitely I want to see. So this is all experimental, guys. If you don't want to do this, you don't need to. I'm only learning and trying to experiment how this works. So what if I make the HTML page this? Oh my god, that happened. Whoa. That is something new. When you set the margin and the padding this way, this is what it looks like. Wow. That is something new and very weird, but I'm all for it. We are not supposed to do this. This is not a part of the responsive web design certification. I'm only learning and I'm also trying to understand what this is. Okay, back to normal. This is what it looked like. And yeah, this is supposed to be 0 by removing the body elements. So when it says removing, we are mentioning the values to be set to 0. तो बाय डिफ़ॉल्ट प्रॉब्लम उसका मार्जिन या फिर उसका पैडिंग उसके कुछ वैल्यूज़ होते होंगे 1 पिक्सल 2 पिक्सल 0 पिक्सल whatever. Now normalize your page by setting the width to 100% and height to this. What if I change my width and height for the HTML document? What would happen then? उससे कुछ होना चाहिए. So I'm again drifting. So So instead of margin I will write width, and instead of padding I will write height. Oh my god. So I think this is one body element and these are several body elements. It's 100 pixels. That is very cool to see. What if I were to make it 1000? Oh my god, and that is, you can see these lines. Yep, you can. हाँ, क्योंकि वो भी उसकी विड्थ हमने 1000 पिक्सेल्स कर दिया. अभी इसको मैं 10 कर दूँ तो अरे बाप रे. Now that is one body page. There is some sick stuff. Anyway, back to the steps. So what were we to do? Oh yeah, I can reuse these values. Let me reuse these values in the body element. Let me remove this HTML for now. And क्या करेंगे? So normalize the page. Okay, normalize करने वाले हैं. Normalize कैसे करेंगे भाई? तो भी उसकी width करेंगे 100%. So 100% of the body will be 100% of the HTML page. The width of the body will be 100% of the HTML page, and height will be 100%. Sorry, 100 viewport height, 100 pixels. I don't know. 100 times the viewport height, whatever that means. Let's find out. What if I make it 1? There's no difference really. And I think it probably depends on the shape and size of your device too. Now remove both the horizontal and vertical scroll bars using only one property. What is that property? I don't know. How do we do that? So we will use the W3 School's website's help. So how to remove vertical scroll bar in CSS. Great. We will try to deduce how to remove both of them. I see. So add overflow hidden to. That makes sense. हाँ, तो कुछ भी ओवरफ्लो नहीं करेगा. पेज के बाहर कुछ जाएगा टेक्स्ट तो ओवरफ्लो नहीं करेगा. अगर वो टेक्स्ट या फिर कुछ भी है वो ओवरफ्लो नहीं करेगा. That means it will hide itself. Makes sense. Overflow to hidden. And after checking whether this is correct, I will also check when I go to the next step whether what I did was correct or was there a better way to do it. मतलब मेरे हिसाब से correct है, but is there an efficient way? But if I press Control Enter again, okay, yeah, and we can see ये तो सब ठीक है. यहाँ पे overflow is hidden. So yep, that is the best way possible. Now within the body, now we are in the body element. We will also give it a class ground. अभी हम लोग ground set करेंगे. पहले हमने sky set कर दिया. अभी हम लोग ground दिखाएंगे literally. So tab once, we'll give it a div. भाई div को बना के paste कर देते हैं यहाँ पे. अभी उसको class देंगे ground. और अभी हम लोग CSS में जाके ground को edit करने वाले हैं. I can see it. We have passed the 2-hour mark. What time is it? It is 12 o'clock. You know what, guys? I'm going to take a short break, maybe half an hour, and I will see you guys back at 1 o'clock. Until then, ciao.